Join in, Nancy. How are you? Come on, wave to me. We have 2 minutes. We have another minute and then we'll get going. It's 8 o'clock, so I'm going to start. I'm going to read from a book, and I'm actually going to read 3 full pages. There's a lot of material here that I want to get across to you. It's from the book Becoming Supernatural, and I find it very, very interesting, very helpful. So you ready for this? All right. It obviously has to do with meditation. One of the biggest challenges you may have when you meditate is switching out of high beta or mid-level beta into alpha and eventually into theta brainwave frequencies. It's absolutely vital to do so, however, because when you slow down your brain waves to these other frequencies, alpha and theta, you are no longer paying attention to your outer world, and you have completely gone inside, creating your inner world. And when you get out of the outer world, you're out of your stressful situation in the environment. And since you're not analyzing and strategizing, trying to prepare for the worst case scenario in your future based on fearful memories of your past, you have the opportunity to become present, to exist right now. So wouldn't it be a wonderful thing during meditation to disconnect your association to all the elements in your outer environment, to get beyond your body, your fears, your thoughts, your schedule, and forget about your familiar past and your predictable future? If you do it right, you will even lose track of time, and hopefully you've experienced that. As you overcome your automatic thinking, your emotions, and your habits, that is exactly what happens. You lose track of time. You get beyond your body, your environment, and time. You weaken the energetic bonds with your past and find yourself in the present. And only in the present can you call back your energy. This actually takes some effort. For those of you who have meditated, you may realize that. You may know that. although it does get easier with practice. Because you're living by the hormones of stress most of the time, it's a challenging thing. So as research shows, 70% of the time, you're living under the hormones of stress. So let's look at what happens when you aren't in the present moment during meditation, so you'll know how to handle it when it arises. Understanding this skill, it's a skill, which means you can develop it, is important because if you can't get beyond your stresses, your problems, and your pain, you cannot create a new future where those things don't exist. So again, I'm going to read almost 3 full pages, okay? And I'm reading from Becoming Supernatural, Joe Dispenza's last book. So bear with me as we go through this, but this is applicable to everybody I know. So let's say you're sitting in your meditation and you start to have some stray thoughts. You're in the habit of thinking that way because you've been thinking that way and putting your attention on the same people and the same things at the same time and place for years now. And you have been automatically embracing the same familiar feelings on a daily basis just to reaffirm your same personality that's connected to your same personal reality. Excuse me. Repeatedly conditioning your body into your past. The only difference now is that because you're trying to meditate, your eyes are shut, but you're still doing it. As you are sitting there with your eyes closed, you are not physically seeing your boss. And in this example, he uses your boss as the person you project onto. But your body wants to feel that anger towards your boss because every time you see him or her in your waking day, let's say 50 times a day, 5 days a week, you are in the habit of feeling bitterness or aggression or upset. Similarly, when you get emails from him or her, which happens at least 10 times a day, you unconsciously have the same emotional reaction to them. So your body has grown accustomed to needing to reaffirm your addiction to anger. It wants to feel the emotion it has become addicted to. And like an addict craving a drug, the body is craving the familiar chemicals. So you already know that your body is your unconscious mind. And by the time you're 35, you're working, you're rather doing everything you do subconsciously. And the subconscious is stored in every single cell of your body. So you go about doing what you do, saying what you say, thinking what you think, subconsciously, because there's a set of programs that you have allowed or you have actually programmed yourself that exist in your subconscious mind, which again gets distributed throughout every single cell of the body. Now the seat of the subconscious, just so you know, is in your second brain, your limbic brain. Okay? Yeah, that's the source, but I don't want to get into this too much. But your neocortex is what produces the neurotransmitters, which sends a signal to the second brain, the emotional brain, which then sends neuropeptides that then clue in the hypothalamus and the pituitary to send hormones to the entire body. So based on how you're feeling, and in this example, you're feeling upset every single day, because this is the example he's trying to get across to you. You're feeling upset with the same person every single day, and the body gets so used to that it craves it, and it wants to experience exactly what you've experienced in the past to keep you emotionally tied to your righteous, what I call righteous indignation, your righteous way of pointing your finger at somebody else. Make sense? The body wants to feel that familiar anger at your boss because you didn't get the promotion, or it wants to feel judgment about your coworker who always wants you to cover for him or her. Then you start thinking about other colleagues who annoy you and other reasons to be upset with your boss. You're sitting there trying to meditate, however, but your body is throwing the kitchen sink at you. That's because it wants its chemical fix of familiar emotions that you normally feel throughout your waking day with your eyes open. The instant you notice what's happening, that you are putting all your attention on that emotion of upset, you become aware that you're investing your energy into the past, because emotions are a record of the past. So you stop and you return to the present moment, and you begin, oh, that's terrible. Sorry about that. So where was I? So you stop and you return to the present moment, and you begin to disinvest your attention and energy out of the past. So you go back into your meditation. But then in a little while, you start to feel frustrated and angry again, and resentful, and whatever else comes up. And you realize what you are doing, because you're trying to meditate. You're sitting there with your eyes closed, and your goal is to meditate and let all that stuff go. You remember at that point that your body is trying to feel those emotions in order to reaffirm its addiction to those chemicals, the chemicals of stress. And you remember that those emotions drive your brain into high-range beta brain waves. And you stop once again. You bring yourself back. Every time you pause and settle your body down and return to the present moment, you are telling your body that it is no longer the mind. You are the mind. But remember, you've had years and decades of programming yourself, being the way you are. And that's a set of programs. And those programs literally get housed in the cells of the body. So the body gets used to the chemical, gets used to the feeling of anger, the justified feeling of anger against so-and-so, or the upset against that person, or you're nuts against that person. And you're so used to that throughout your day. And I mentioned before, research shows 70% of the time you are stressed. Now, you may doubt that. Stress is this small to this, you can't see my hands, but this big, okay? So if you're stressed all the time, this amount, this small amount, I'll make it a little wider so there's a gap there, okay? You're stressed just this amount all the time. You don't even know it, but you're stressed all the time. And again, 70% of the time. Not a good place to be. You don't want that, okay? Whether it's driving, whether it's just doing the dishes and thinking, some thought that crosses through, and for most of us, most of those thoughts are somewhat stressful, so you're in stress. And the body releases those hormones of stress. And you get addicted to the feeling that those hormones of stress bring on. Now you're sitting down in meditation and you're trying to be the good body, and your mind takes off, and it's like, oh, what the hell? I can't meditate. I hate meditation. I suck at meditation. And that's what most people conclude, because it is the most difficult thing you will ever do. I've always told people who are new, it'll be much easier to lift 400 pounds and try to bench press it than it is to meditate. That's for most people. That's not for everyone. You might be the minority and be able to do it. Okay. So then thoughts start drifting into your mind about the people you have to see and the places you have to go and the things you have to do later that day while you're meditating. You wonder if your boss has answered that email yet, and you remember you haven't returned your sister's phone call either. And today is trash day, so you remind yourself you need to put out the trash. And all of a sudden, you become aware that by anticipating those future scenarios, you are investing your attention and your energy into the same known reality. So you stop and you return to the present moment. You bring yourself back. Your eyes are closed, you're doing all this, no one else knows it, but they're all also doing the same thing. And once more, you disinvest your energy out of that predictable known future and make room for the unknown in your life. The unknown exists only in the present moment. And most of us don't like the unknown. We like to have our scheduled routine and do because it's safe, it's secure. But you may not be happy with it, but you're safe and secure doing that, and you do the same thing every single day because it's known. The unknown is where things happen. And again, the unknown only exists in the present moment. You got to learn, you got to teach yourself how to get into the present moment. So once you find yourself in the sweet spot of that generous present moment, your energy no longer goes away from you to the past and the future the way it always has. Now you are divesting your energy from that familiar past and predictable future. You're no longer firing and wiring the same circuits in your brain in the same way. And you are no longer regulating and signaling the same genes in the same way by feeling the same emotions. If you keep doing this process, you are continually calling all that energy back to you by breaking the energetic bonds that keep you connected to your past. This happens because you are taking your attention and your energy off your outer world and placing it instead on your inner world. And you're building your own electromagnetic field surrounding your body. Now you have available energy that you can use to create something new. So I've taught this before. When you get into the zone, okay, you sit down, you close your eyes, you get into your pose, you start going inside and you're flowing. When you start doing that, you change your brainwave state from beta, which is where high beta and mid-level beta is where the stress is. Okay, high beta, you're freaking out. Mid beta, it's that low level constant stress. Now you're letting go of your environment, your body, and time. You're going inside and you're creating a world that's much more real than the outer world, which, by the way, it is, according to lots of different philosophical views I've read. As you create that reality inside and you stay focused, you stay present, you actually create an energy field within you that starts down at the root chakra, way down in the perineum, and it starts to move upwards. And once it hits the heart, and becomes coherent, it blows out, up through the brain, and out to the 8th chakra, and falls down like this. I don't know if my arms are outside the screen, and then it comes back up. And this is known as a torus field. And you actually create your own electromagnetic field. This is actually measurable, okay? When you are in this place, I've done this many times before. I close my eyes, and 2 hours later, I am back. 2 hours. And that's amazing when that happens. Most of us are just trying to work on 10 minutes. Just stay here for 10 minutes, okay? I'm not done reading. I told you I had a lot to read today. So, not surprisingly, your attention eventually begins to wander again. As you continue to sit in meditation, your body becomes more annoyed and impatient because it wants to do something. After all, you've programmed it every day to get up and follow the same routine. It wants to quit meditating, open its eyes, and see someone. The body itself actually wants to do that because the body has become the mind. Instead of you controlling the mind within the body, we call it the subconscious mind, controls you. And prove me wrong. You can't. After all, you've programmed it every day to get up and follow the same routine. It wants to quit meditating, open its eyes, and see someone. It wants to hear something on TV or talk to someone on the phone. It prefers to taste breakfast instead of sitting there doing nothing. It would like to smell coffee brewing like it does every morning. And you would love to feel something like a hot shower before you start your day. One more paragraph. Your body wants to experience physical reality with its senses in order to embrace an emotion. But your goal is to create a reality from a world beyond your senses that's defined not by your body as the mind, but by you as the mind. When I first started studying yoga and the philosophy of yoga, we have something in yoga called the 8 limbs of yoga, or the 8 steps of yoga. And you know some of them. You know at least half of them. You know meditation. That's the second last step. You know focusing. When you're in tree pose, you got to focus. Okay, it's called concentration in the yoga world. You know asanas, and you know pranayama, breathing. Okay, so you know 4 of them. Well, the 5th limb, the 5th step on the ladder, is something called pratyahara, withdraw from the senses, which means go inside and withdraw from the senses, because the senses are not going to give you an accurate picture of reality. They're going to give you a picture of your reality based on your perceptions, which you project. Make sense? Okay. So, as you become aware of the program, you keep setting your body down into the present moment. The body tries again to return to the familiar past because it wants to engage in a predictable future. But you keep setting it back down. You settle it back down. You set it back down. Each time you overcome those automatic habits, your will becomes greater than the program that's currently running you. Every time you keep settling your body back to the present moment, like training a dog to sit, literally, you are reconditioning your body to a new mind. It takes time, just like it took time for you to develop the programs you currently have. Each time you become aware of your program and you labor for the present moment, you are stating that your will is greater than your program. And if you keep returning your attention, and therefore your energy, back to the present moment, and you keep noticing when you are present and when you are not, sooner or later your body is going to surrender. But not without kicking and screaming and fighting. Believe me. It is this process of continuously returning to the present moment every time you become aware that you've lost it that begins to break the energetic bonds with your familiar known reality. And when you do return to the present moment, what you're actually doing is getting beyond your physical world identity and unfolding into the quantum field. The quantum field I've talked about in the past. We're not going to revisit it right now. But that's where you go when you go into the present moment when you're meditating. Okay? You become so practiced meditating with your eyes closed and being in the present moment that you begin to practice meditating with your eyes open so that you can be in the present moment when you're in a situation, even by yourself out there, or you're in the presence of another, you're still going within more than not. So, you may think, well, I'm not giving that person my attention. Think about the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama, whenever he meets with someone, is fully focused on that person. But the Dalai Lama is mostly inside. Dalai Lama lives inside. That's how he maintains his peace. Okay? And if you ever have an audience with the Dalai Lama, you better know yourself, because the Dalai Lama is going to look at you in your eyes without wavering. And he's done that for up to 3 hours. So you can only do that if you know yourself. So we're going to go into meditation right now. And I'll lead you through some of it, and then there's going to be silence. And the silence is where you're going to start to wander. You're going to wander. Heck, you've wandered for the 22 minutes or so I've been talking. You've wandered every 7 to 11 seconds. And what you're trying to train yourself to do is not wander. Stay focused. And that's a training program. It's a self-initiated training program that you have to put yourself through in order to go deeper and deeper and deeper and find that sweet spot of the generous present moment and bring your brain wave state from beta brainwave, which is where it is now, to alpha, which the brainwave state is slower, to theta, the brainwave state is slower even. And by the way, every night you go to sleep, you go from beta to alpha to theta, and when you go into deep sleep, it's delta. That's not where you want to go when you meditate, because you're out. Everything is out, everything's turned off. You want to go from beta to alpha to theta while you're still conscious. That's what meditation's about. That's when you can get in and reprogram, self-auto-suggest your operating system, your autonomic nervous system. Okay, you ready to do this? Close your eyes. Get comfortable. Now, for those of you who haven't heard, sit in a chair at home. Get comfortable so that your legs aren't going to fall asleep, because you want to forget about the body as one of the things you're doing by focusing in on the present. So with eyes closed, begin to breathe through your nose, getting as comfortable as you can physically. Breathing through the nose on the inhale for at least a count of 5, and on the exhale for the same. Getting that physical breath, the routine of that breath. It becomes so natural and so common to you that it just turns on without thought. Now begin to focus in. And I'm going to tell you what to focus in on. Focus your full attention on your breath right at the tip of your nostrils. I will bring you further, but right now, go right there. And since you're breathing smoothly and slowly and softly, focus in even more and feel the air move in on the inhale and out on the exhale, right at the tip of the nostrils. Now, once you have that, you might think you're a master, and your mind will begin to wander. Your job, your only job right now, is to continue to focus in on the breath at the tip of the nostrils and feel it. Feel the air moving. Now let's go a little further. Again, at the tip of the nostrils, see if you can feel the difference in temperature between the inhale and the exhale. Stay focused right there. Stay with it. Feel both the breath moving in and out. Feel the difference in temperature. Now, let's move your focus to another area of the body completely. Bring your full attention to your heart center. And imagine, use your imagination here. Imagine your heart is breathing in and out. So in order for you to stay in the present moment and create a world internally that's greater than the external world, right now use your imagination to do that. Even if you have to make it into a cartoon-looking thing, the heart beating, slow it down. The heart breathing in slowly, out slowly. The heart receives that breath on the inhale and distributes that oxygen to the entire body. Picture that in your mind's eye. Now, let's go a little further. You're going to take your attention off of the breath, staying focused on the heart area. Feel what you feel. What emotion or emotions do you feel in your heart? Feel the feeling without thinking. This is all about feeling, becoming aware of. Stay focused, and mind is going to wander. It's even going to question and think this is absurd. Let that go. When you learn how to feel and feel what you feel, you leave your analytical mind, and you leave, therefore, the beta brainwave state. And when you can feel what you feel and just stay there, you've dropped down into the alpha brainwave state. That's what you want to do. Now, the feelings associated with the heart of compassion and appreciation and care and understanding, and kindness and love and gratitude, joy, ineffableness, all those emotions that are way up there. The emotions associated with the heart. Feel one of those emotions. Keep breathing That slow, smooth, melodic breath. I'm going to make it easy on you. You're going to move up to your third eye. You're going to take the emotions I mentioned, any one of them. You're going to bring it up to your third eye, and as though there's a cone coming forward, out the third eye, from a narrower to a wider, larger cone. You're going to beam outwardly loving kindness to someone you know who needs some loving kindness. This one is easier because this is something you've done in real life. Now you're imagining you're doing it. So start to send an electromagnetic signal out. You don't think of it that way, but send out loving kindness. And that loving kindness is measurable and is electromagnetic. And as you send it out to that person, imagine that it's bathing that person. It's going inside that person's physical body. It's surrounding that person, bathing them, washing them, surrounding and filling that person so strongly, based on the intention that you put and assign to it. Healing energy. It's not only going to bathe them, it's going to uplift them and help them feel better. Open your heart and let it pour forth as you move it up into the head area and out through the third eye. And as you're doing just that energetically, you're silently speaking to that person, saying, I love you. Everything is okay. Present tense is okay. You are whole. You are healed. You are loved. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, thank that person, or plural if it's more than one. Come back into your physical body. Observe yourself sitting there, breathing in and out, becoming more aware of your physical body, the sensation of it. Bring your hands together and rub them and create heat. Rub them strongly enough to generate some warmth between your hands. And then take those hands and place them over your closed eyes. Then open your eyelids and slowly bring your hands down to your heart. Coming back into your space wherever you are. Thank yourself. Be happy that you did what you just did. If you did not see this full video, I invite you to watch the whole thing, because it progressed you to the point where you are now. Namaste, everybody. As you go about your day, try to maintain what you may have attained in meditation. Taking this throughout your day is key. Learning how to do what you just did is the first step. But then once you get up out of your seat, or you start moving around and start getting into your day, you can't let the energy drop. Otherwise, you're back to your old pre-programmed self, and you're going to do what you've always done. You're trying to learn from here and apply it there. Okay? This takes something that is real difficult. You have to be conscious. Remember, 95% of what you do is unconscious. We call it subconscious. It's below the level of consciousness. Okay? So now every time you do something that's part of an old program, maybe it's going to take 15 minutes after the fact to realize, oh, I just did that. To eventually you get to the point where you realize while you're doing it, even if you're in a heated situation, you realize while you're doing it, that's a major quantum leap. Okay? So try to be aware throughout today. At another point throughout today, if you want, if you get the urge, sit down and meditate again. It can be for 10 minutes. It can be for 3 minutes. 3 minutes we know works, by the way. 3 minutes we now know through research lasts 6 hours. So 3 minutes of this, not trying to get into this, but 3 minutes of being into this meditation will last at your physical, at your cellular level, 6 hours. So you should do at least 3 minutes every single day. Thanks. Bye-bye.